This show was fine, but obviously, I don't have a lot to talk about because there's only, 6 episodes. Even though it's supposed to be a whole season, I don't know. I don't get why you would make a TV show if you're only going to do 6 episodes. It's just weird. Imagine if a show like Gotham had like 6 episodes per season. Probably would have had like at least 25 seasons with how many episodes there were. Anyway, this show was fine, though. Like, sometimes they would go out of their way to explain stuff that you could probably just get the gist of, and then other ones they just wouldn't explain at all. Like, how does classic Loki understand what alligator Loki is saying? But, Loki doesn't. And they don't explain it all. They're just like, oh, the alligator talks. Well, then why doesn't Loki understand it? Also, this is like a side note. This isn't about like the actual show. But Future Fight did an update like a few months ago. And I bought the President Loki suit. I thought he was going to be like a big part of this show. Because, since I bought the President Loki suit, I use it every now and then. My Loki is currently a 66. So, he's pretty tough since it's a brand new uniform. But he doesn't do much in this show. He shows up, kidnaps a few of the main characters, they get in an argument, gets his hand bitten off, and his army turns on him, and that is it. I don't get why they chose him as a uniform and not like classic Loki or something. Of course, they already have a classic Loki, actually. They could have did Kid Loki. It's not like they've already done, a kid version before, because there's a baby Groot uniform. Wouldn't have hurt them to do Kid Loki. I also didn't care for the love interest between Sylvia and Loki. I don't know, I didn't really like it. I thought it was cool how they mentioned that he's pansexual, but they didn't mention how he's gender fluid. In the comics, every now and then, he changes his gender and he refers to herself as Lady Loki. And I actually have that uniform in Future Fight 2. I have a bunch of uniforms. That's besides the point. For the LGBTQ community, all they really reference is literally one scene where he's talking to Sylvia and she's like, oh, hey, have you dated anyone? Any princesses or other princess? And he goes, yes. But none of them were like true love, and that is it. It's kind of a slap in the face. The first pansexual, or really any LGBTQ character in Marvel, dates a woman when he's a man. It was one thing if maybe they went with the gender fluid thing and he becomes a Lady Loki and dates Sylvia. That would have been cool, but they don't go for that option. He stays the same gender throughout the whole show. They give us this cool friendship with Owen Wilson, though, which I liked it. It was fine. Kang was kind of cool. Yeah, not much to talk about for this show. I did like how utterly confused Loki was with everything, and how he tried, with the argument with Owen Wilson later. I think it was in episode I think it was in episode 2. I don't know. I watched like the whole series in 2 days because it's short. Um, I like the argument where he tries to go, "This is weird. Why do you believe all this?" And then Owen Wilson is like, "Okay, so ice giants and Odin, that makes sense." And he's like, "Well, that's completely different." I love that scene. It was pretty funny. Though I do think that they make jokes way too often. But I really like that scene. And there's actually one more nitpick I have for this show. And that's Kid Loki and Classic Loki are like, "Hey, we're gonna stay behind. We don't want to leave." And he's like, "What about Elias?" And he was like, "We've dealt with him for long enough." And that should be it, right? No, Classic Loki randomly sacrifices himself. And they don't say why. Nobody even questions it either. It's not like Loki's not like, "Oh, hey, I thought you were leaving." And he's like, "I changed my mind." Nope, there's nothing. Where's Kid Loki during this? But yeah, that's about it. It was fine. Don't worry, I will be watching the other shows too. They are on my watch list. I chose Loki first, because Loki was my favorite character out of all the other shows. Probably be watching What If next. If not, it'll be Hawkeye. I'm really looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I really like Falcon in the comics. He's been kind of basic in the MCU though. And WandaVision will probably be the last one I watch, just because I've never been a huge fan of Scarlet Witch in the MCU. I prefer her in the comics too. But I do like Vision for what he is in the show. Well, the movie, since, I haven't watched the show yet. But yeah, that's about it. Something I want to talk about. Just one more thing. I thought the fight scene between Loki and Sylvia was kind of forced. You're like, "Hey, if this Kane guy's telling the truth, then we could be fucked. It could be the end of the world. We just need to think about it for a minute." She's like, "So you want the throne?" Like, what the It felt so forced and so stupid. How did you come to that conclusion? How? It was just a very stupid scene. But besides that, I thought the show was fine. One, I know, I thought I was done with the little nitpicks, but there's another one that I thought of randomly. When they're tracking the variant, right, they go to this is when they figure out that the variant is hiding in apocalypses and stuff. And they go there. It's a storm. That's the apocalypse. It's like this huge tsunami. It's raining and shit. Loki gets covered in water. So he walks in and he dries himself. The one hunter from the TVA is like, "What the fuck was that?" And he goes, "I dried myself, so I'm not announcing myself like you idiots. And, not drawing attention to myself." Guess what he does not 2 minutes later? He starts chatting up a storm with the hunter, because the hunter wants him to go with her. And he just starts chatting up a storm, talking and talking and talking, even though she tells him to be quiet, because they're supposed to be looking for the variant and not attracting attention to themselves, which he literally said. I thought that was dumb. But yeah, I think that is it. Hopefully I don't remember anything else I want to talk about.